I suppose that everybody would have their own particular reasons for going out to Leon Valley, but I believe that Ron W. is very incorrect. No, they did not come out for the trespass of Padilla. Get over it. They are protesting because of a trespass. They are protesting over a trespass. That is the origin of all of this. It was the first trespass that led to the second trespass, which led to Mark Brown being arrested, which, combined with the arrest of Padilla, is what finally galvanized these people to come out and protest Leon Valley. That big guy was not tased for filming. That big guy was tased for interfering with the arrest of Padilla and then resisting arrest. That's why the big guy, Mark Brown, was tased and Padilla wasn't. It's very telling, by the way, if you think this is all about that big guy, that you know the name of Padilla and you don't know the name of that big guy. It's very telling. And it's also very telling that you think he was tased for filming, because he was not tased for filming. In fact, they were largely going to ignore him until he ran up while they were effecting the arrest of Mr. Padilla, ran up and started yelling at him about, what's your name, what's your badge number. My dog is chasing bunnies. This was the original arrest by Padilla. He spent about 20 minutes filming Leon Valley. It starts off with him filming inside, so I don't know how long before that he was filming. But he did a lot of filming, and they didn't stop him from filming inside. It was all kosher. It was all copacetic. This little gal at the desk even said, apologized. She said she had to check, and she was corrected, and they were allowing filming. So you could thank Mr. Padilla and Mr. Padilla's actions for getting it to the situation where it is now, where you can no longer film in that courthouse / city hall / police department. Mr. Brown went to back up Mexican Padilla. Mr. Brown then made a nuisance of himself and was politely and forcefully told to step outside. He was not arrested. The officers were going for Mr. Padilla, who was at some point right about in here. He was arrested. You see him right there. He is not on the sidewalk. He's at the bottom of the steps. Mr. Padilla was trespassing on the premises of the city hall / courthouse. They went out to effect the arrest of Mr. Padilla. You notice that right here they are ignoring Mr. Brown. Mr. Brown inserts himself into the situation, thus earning the interfering with the duties of a public servant. And then he resisted arrest, which is why you see the resist arrest there, which is why he was tased. Now, Mr. Padilla was also arrested at that time. 614, criminal arrest. Notice how he wasn't charged for resisting arrest. Notice how he wasn't tased. If you think that the tasing was for filming, then I don't believe you're watching the same videos I'm watching. Then he says, which is another reason we should not give qualified immunity to police. Again, you have no idea what you're talking about. We give qualified immunity to the police because they have to make split-second decisions. Does your brain just reset after every time I go over this? Qualified immunity is necessary. The police are necessary. Remember the whole killers, robbers, and rapists? They're necessary. The police have to make split-second decisions. It was in that Haruchi case that I read last night. The courts can't second guess in the peace and tranquility of the courtroom. They can't second guess the split-second decisions that officer made. It has to be unreasonable in order for them to lose qualified immunity. That's why it's qualified. That's why it's not absolute. If they're suspected of committing a crime, just like a citizen can, they should prove it wrong. No, you don't prove... No, you don't even understand how this works. A citizen doesn't have to prove it wrong. The prosecution has to prove the crime. You know, it costs citizens to be wrongly arrested and accused and have to defend their innocence. Yes, I'm aware of that. It is not a perfect system. Once you come up with the perfect system, then let me know. But just stripping qualified immunity away from police officers will not accomplish the task. Why not the cops? Last time I checked, if the cops are charged, then they don't get... So you're mistaking some things. The way qualified immunity works is qualified immunity protects you from civil actions. So if a citizen sues a police officer, the state may, if the state wishes, give that police officer a lawyer. Not always the case. Maybe you watch the Haruchi tape. Haruchi hired his own attorneys for his defense, his legal defense. He probably also hired his own attorneys for the lawsuit by Kevin Harris. The state may provide the officer's defense, but they don't have to. And yes, it does cost the police a lot of money, which is why they get qualified immunity, because they are involved in situations often where they have to use force. The police would not be able to afford to be police. We would not have police if they were not given qualified immunity. It is necessary. And if the police are arrested and accused, the state is not going to protect them because the state is prosecuting them. I suppose if they're unable to afford their own attorneys for their defense, then the state would supply a public defender just like it would to any other person who is unable to pay for their defense. If they do their jobs correctly, well, what are they worried about? They're worried about wrongful lawsuits. Like somebody claiming that they were tased for filming when they were actually tased for interfering with the duties of a public servant. Maybe that's what they're worried about, Ron. The auditor uprising. 20 middle-aged guys out there with cameras and criminal records. Woo! All that public support. Oh, I remember James Freeman saying that, oh yeah, there's going to be, there may even be like news cameras out there and stuff. Oh yeah, it's a total media circus. You guys are winning hearts and minds. The auditor uprising that is now going on is due to the taking of phones, arrest of Wolfman on a bogus charge. I do think the obstructing a doorway was pretty bad. I agree with you there. But I don't know if they actually lack probable cause for it. Again, I haven't had a chance to really look at any case records. It doesn't pass my smell test, but I can't really go over it too much more than that. So A, it's not an auditor uprising, and even though you're saying it's due to the taking of phones, etc., remember these guys were out there for a reason, and that reason was even if you say it was for the arrest of the big guy, the arrest of the big guy was because of the trespass of Padilla. It all boils back down to Padilla and trespassing. They're hitching their horses to the wrong wagon. It's a cause and effect scenario. Padilla's dragging them all down with them. Just so much stupid from then, Leon Valley. Do not sue me for using stupid, but you make it sound so fresh like a daisy. I don't know what that sentence doesn't make any sense. Again, Padilla did trespass for sure the second time. Yes, he also trespassed for sure the first time. The first, it should be fought in court with a competent attorney. Yes, it should be fought in court with a competent attorney. I agree with you there. But it's not going to be a particularly easy case for that competent attorney to win. The competent attorney is going to have to make some. I even laid it out in my when I stated it. The competent attorney is going to have to say that Mr. Padilla was trying to exit from the place he came in at. Maybe he was unaware of whether the exit doors behind him existed and or were unlocked. So he might have been trying to exit through the door he came in with, and that passage was kind of blocked off by the cop. So, yes, a competent attorney could make an argument that may reasonably allow a trier of fact to determine that Mr. Padilla was attempting to leave, but it's certainly not a cut and dry case. He says your video is not correct in that an employee of the building said it was a public area, so he was authorized to be there. He was authorized to be there. In my video, I say he was authorized to be there until he was trespassed, and then he was no longer authorized to be there. That's what you guys fail to connect over and over again. As soon as someone with apparent authority, i.e. the chief of police, said you are not allowed to be here, you need to leave, you are trespassed. He was not trespassing until he was told that he was being trespassed. Then he had to leave. And if he didn't leave, then he could be arrested. To reiterate, Wolfman and Freeman came out after the attack on that big guy with the taser. Yes, the attack on the big guy with the taser from him interfering with the arrest of Padilla for trespassing. The actual protest is due to what I said above. Again, where do you get trespass as the main factor? Because it all comes out from the trespass. Trespass 1 led to Trespass 2. Trespass 2 led to the arrest of Mark Brown. Well, Trespass 2 combined with Mark Brown's inability to think coherently led to the arrest of Mark Brown. Mark Brown's inability to think clearly combined with his being arrested led to him resisting arrest, which led to him being tased. It is a cause and effect chain that all goes back to Padilla being trespassed. They're fighting over a trespass. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.